Congressman Gutierrez from Illinois will be holding a pro-amnesty rally here in Richmond, Virginia, Eric Cantor's backyard. Eric Cantor once praised Congressman Gutierrez for his leadership on the issue of amnesty. Congressman Gutierrez is here to set up a great deception for the voters that will allow Eric Cantor to claim he is opposed to amnesty at the 11th hour, just 2 weeks prior to the primary on this June 10th. Congressman Cantor has spent countless dollars claiming that I'm a liberal college professor. This is the act of a desperate campaign. I am more conservative than Eric Cantor across the board. I am the constitutional conservative in this race. Eric Cantor is trying to buy this election with corporate cash from Los Angeles and New York. He's acting as a conservative in public while working behind the scenes to deliver open borders for large corporations. In fact, Eric Cantor has so little respect for his constituents, he has sent them a mailer yesterday, happy to share with you in a minute, claiming to oppose amnesty for illegal immigrants, claiming to oppose amnesty for illegal immigrants. But Eric Cantor has been the #1 cheerleader in Congress for amnesty. Eric Cantor has spearheaded the amnesty push in the House. Eric Cantor saying he opposes amnesty is like Barack Obama saying he opposes Obamacare. There is no Republican in the country who is more liberal on immigration than Eric Cantor. This race comes down to the defining issue of our time. Virginia is ground zero in the fight to protect American workers. If we want to stop amnesty, then we must stop Eric Cantor on this election day, June 10. People in Richmond are suffering. Small business owners come to me regularly at town halls I hold across the district every night. They're telling me that they cannot hire new employees and they have to lay off their loyal workers because of regulations and Obamacare. They are seeing their wages flatlining and they are struggling to make ends meet. But what is Eric Cantor doing? He's leading the push for more low-wage foreign workers to take Virginian jobs. He wants more guest workers, more low-wage labor. Eric Cantor wants open borders for corporations. Eric Cantor does not represent the views of his constituents in the 7th District of Virginia. He represents large corporations that want more cheap labor. On legislation, under Eric Cantor's watch, we are seeing thousands of American troops being laid off, including scores of Virginia soldiers. But what is Eric Cantor's priority? To give away those few coveted military positions to illegals and to Americans. Does Eric Cantor think that serving in our military is just another job Americans won't do? Eric Cantor gave a speech in 2013 in which he called for amnesty and citizenship for illegal immigrants. He said this was based on, and I quote, the great founding principles of our country, end quote. This is a radical pro-amnesty statement. In the same speech, Eric Cantor called for more guest workers that will take jobs from struggling families right now here in Virginia. Eric Cantor actually claimed that corporations were having a hard time finding workers, so we needed to give them more immigrant labor. What about Virginia workers who do not currently have jobs? Eric Cantor led the amnesty drive in the House, co-authoring the House immigration principles that included amnesty and importing more low-wage foreign workers for CEOs. If Eric Cantor is re-elected, he will do everything in his power to deliver cheap labor for large corporations, because that is who he represents. On the FAIR Pledge, why hasn't Cantor signed the No Amnesty American Workers Protection Pledge circulated by FAIR? Because he can't. He's for amnesty and he's for reducing wages. Has Eric Cantor ever met with ICE officers? Has Eric Cantor ever held a press conference to talk about American workers that have suffered as a result of the mass influx of low-wage foreign workers? Has Cantor ever lifted a finger to stand up for American workers that have been hurt by the Obama administration's lawlessness and refusal to secure the border? Eric Cantor does not represent you, and Eric Cantor does not represent views of the Virginians in the 7th District. Eric Cantor represents large corporations who want a never-ending supply of cheap, low-wage foreign labor. There is no Republican in the country who is more liberal on immigration than Eric Cantor. The chamber wants low-skilled, cheap labor. Mark Zuckerberg wants high-skilled, cheap labor. But at the end of the day, what they all have in common is they all want cheap labor, and Eric Cantor wants to give it to them. That is why I am calling today on Eric Cantor to make public the names of all the corporate executives and lobbyists he and his staff have met with to discuss immigration. What are the names of all the corporate donors, lobbyists, and CEOs who have lobbied Eric Cantor for cheap labor? Congressman Cantor, whom have you met with? Make this information public. Tell us who has been lobbying you. What do you have to hide? Thank you all for coming today. I'm happy to take a few questions.
Right. Were brought here when they were very young, whether here. What is your position on the Enlist Act, and what do you think about addressing the children who were brought here by parents when they were very young?
Right. The Enlist Act is a huge error. We're going to take people who are not citizens yet and put them to serve the nation in the most important role this nation can conceive of. And so the Enlist Act is a terrible policy. I'm opposed to it. On the issue of children in this country, unfortunately, what sounds good on first gloss over is not good policy. Because of Eric Cantor's position on immigration, young kids are coming in, crossing the border at record numbers at present. This is all documented by the Heritage Foundation. And kids are coming in, their parents are actually leaving the kids at the border so that the kids can come in and become wards of the state, knowing that the U.S. federal government will have to take control of those kids. And so what at first sounds good, at first blush, is not good policy.
You said that Congressman Gutierrez is here to set up a great deception that will allow Eric Cantor to claim.
Right.
So are you saying that they're working in cahoots? I mean, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, they've been working in cahoots for the past year to produce some immigration reform. They've traveled together in the past year. I think it's clear that Eric is for amnesty, and Congressman Gutierrez knows that to be the case, so he would much rather have Eric help Eric. And I think it's already been reported. Congressman Gutierrez is aware of this flyer that just went out this week from Congressman Eric Cantor to all the constituents in the district to say he is standing up against amnesty. Thankfully, we have Eric Cantor standing up to Harry Reid and Barack Obama. Eric Cantor torches immigration reform after a call with Obama. I think the press has already reported widely on that. And so Congressman Gutierrez is aware of this document and comes at the 11th hour, 2 weeks before the primary. So I think you'd have to be pretty gullible not to see a linkage there.
How do you call Eric Cantor the most liberal Republican in the House when there are a lot of where he's blocked the Senate bill? There are a lot of Republicans who supported something similar along the lines of the Senate immigration bill. I mean, how do you make that claim?
Because he's the lead cheerleader. Breitbart and countless other news sources have reported on his leadership of it. He has cloaked it. He hides behind it so it's not apparent. But if you go look where Eric is rated by Heritage, I think he's at a 53 now out of 100. And if you go look at some of the charts where he's sitting in the House, he is on the far left of the Republican side of the aisle, with no one to the left of him approaching the Democrat seats.
So if Cantor is so supportive, why hasn't he been able to get any votes? Why has he failed if it is something he wants to do?
Say that. What was the premise of the question? If he's
Well,
been so
so
successful,
you say that Cantor wants immigration reform.
Right.
There hasn't been immigration reform.
Yeah.
There haven't even been votes on much immigration reform. He's
Right.
the person who can schedule votes.
Right, and because the Republican base is firmly opposed to it, and so Eric has shifted several years ago. I don't think he would have contemplated this move. Now he's got the speakership on his mind, and so he's turned his back on the views of his constituents here in the 7th, and he thinks he has enough money to buy the election. And so he's spreading falsehoods in these mailers every day. He's called me a liberal professor, handpicked protege of Governor Tim Kaine, says I worked for Tim Kaine as an economic advisor. All of that is false. I serve on a revenue estimate committee that meets once a year that just forecasts economic growth. All the Republican leaders in the House, Kurt Cox, the number 2 guy in the House, sits on the same committees. The business titans sit on the same committees. Tommy Norman, head of the Senate, sits on the same committees. Are they all liberals by the same criterion? Is Eric Cantor seriously making the charge that anyone that sat on that committee that just estimates revenue growth and didn't stand up and quit serving the Commonwealth, everyone's a liberal? And so that ad started off, by the way, and set the tone on the first day that I announced my candidacy. And I think that's important for voters. voters to know. This isn't just completely the support of the amnesty flyers came out this week, and another flyer that comes out that says he is fighting hard against the IRS just came out last night. In fact, Eric Cantor's been slating conservatives off of their political processes across the state. Virginia Beach, go look at the bullelephant.com to corroborate that story. 1,000 conservatives showed up. Eric Cantor only accepted 34 favorable to him and sent the rest home. And so flyer after flyer is coming out with falsehoods in it. But today I should be staying more on immigration. Sorry.
One more question and that's it.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Congressman, can you clarify? Gutierrez, Congressman Gutierrez says he's coming here, to pressure Republicans and Eric Cantor in particular to support passage of immigration reform in the House. But you think that Gutierrez is actually here to help secure the election for him? Are they working in cahoots now? I'm confused about at what point you thought they were collaborating.
Yeah, what the facts are, he's coming here 2 weeks before a primary on June 10. And so we will see the comments he makes, but it's clear it's a win-win. He's going to be in favor of amnesty. He's going to provide a backdrop where Eric Cantor, and the key point for the press to realize is Eric Cantor just flipped his position this week. That's the key, right? So Congressman Gutierrez is coming today. Eric Cantor sent out this flyer 3 days ago. So the timing could not be more suspect. And I think they're thinking that the voters will not be informed of what's going on. That's why we're here today, is to inform the voters of that timing of those series of events. And so Eric Cantor will come out today and say, I'm now against all forms of amnesty. We'll see what he says.
So you don't have any proof of Gutierrez and Cantor working together?
They've met together over the past year. Today on this, working together on this news conference, I don't have any. We'll see what he says today. That may be the proof.
All right, that's it. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Right.